Sorry.
Okay. Go. Looks like we have quorum. All right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Great, okay. Got the agenda here. All right, let's call the meeting to order. Statement of public notice. The meeting was posted as required by Clerk Treasurer, Town of St. Joseph. Let's see. We're going to provide our written notice on the agenda of the public meeting as named below. There's an opportunity for public comments as noted on the agenda upon recognition by the presiding officer. Roll call. Let's see, I can see Carol, Rick, Chris, Joanne, Eric, and Dave, looks like. And Terry. Am I missing anybody?
Nope, that's correct.
Okay, great.
Hey, Anton, I'm on here with you too.
Ah, thanks, Justin. Have not spotted you there.
That's okay. I'm small enough. Most people miss me.
Yes. Great. Okay, agenda. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance next. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second, Eric.
Okay. All right. Consider the motion made and seconded. Any removals from the agenda? Nope. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Motion carries. All right. Approval of prior meeting minutes.
I make a motion.
You make a motion to
Meeting minutes? Oh, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
I make a motion to approve the July meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Sorry.
I'll second, Rick.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All right. We have approved minutes. Great. Public comments. This is an opportunity for people to speak to anything that is not on our agenda for tonight. If there's something on our agenda that you'd like to speak to, you can do that when we get to that point in the agenda. So is there anyone who'd like to speak to something that's not on the agenda? Nope. All right, then we'll move on. Item number 1. A CSM for dividing 410 Highland View, the property number 03020991000. Is there anyone here who will be speaking to that?
Yes.
All right, then come forward and, yeah, I guess there's no microphone on the table, so we'll have you stand there. And
Anton,
get a
Anton,
microphone.
This is Chris. While they're getting a microphone, I just wanted to
Mhm.
acknowledge that Joanne, who's an alternate, is up at the table with us. But to clarify, we have quorum, right? So she won't be voting tonight.
It's not whether we have quorum, it's whether all of the regular members are present.
Okay.
I didn't actually count people when I looked here. So. 6. Yeah, everybody is here, I think. Wait, is everybody here? I'm counting 6. 7 with Joanne. Am I missing somebody?
Justin's on the line.
Justin's online
And Craig is not here.
and Craig's not here. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I'm not counting Justin. All right, and I should be. So yeah, Joanne is an alternate for tonight, not a.
You know, Anton, I'm gonna start taking it a little personally, man, you know?
Yes.
Anton,
Right.
this is Darla.
Yes, Darla.
I'm sorry I missed the public comments, but since Joanne is there, when were it signed by the voting members for Joanne?
When what? Sorry.
When were the ballots? So the secret ballot was made null and void because it can't be a secret
No,
ballot.
It wasn't made, the ballots weren't made in null and void. They were signed off at the July meeting
Which
and are eligible for public record request on
Yeah,
need if needed, Darla. But they aren't null and void.
yeah, they
Okay,
were
so-
signed at the clerk's office over, I don't remember the exact date. Terry might
Okay, so-
remember.
So that wasn't done at a meeting, nor was it noticed and on an agenda?
The signing was not.
For the attorney, Darla, that was not required.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Justin.
Yep.
All right, if we've got a microphone, would you like to make sure it's on and to introduce yourself and describe what you're planning on doing with the property? Yeah, that's very quiet. I suspect either the microphone's not on or you need to hold it closer.
I got a little closer now, is that better?
No,
Do you have the light? Is it a green light on the top there from the button?
How about now?
better.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
Must have pushed the button down when I stuck it into the holder, so. This is Ty Dodge, land surveyor, so I'm working for, Zach Hartman, Derek Bradger on this, 410 Highland View. This currently is one lot on a plat of Shady Ridge. I think that was the only lot on Shady Ridge, or there might have been one more lot on E actually to the west. It's about 16 acres. And we're looking at splitting that into 3 lots. So on the certified survey map, we've got lots 1 and 2, which are basically 3-acre lots. Lot 3 is the balance of the property. All of them will have driveways off of Highland View. 1 and 2 will have a joint driveway so that we can meet driveway separation requirements. And then lot 3 will have its own individual driveway. Right now, there's one older building that kind of straddles that lot line. That's getting removed as part of this process. So we'll just have to coordinate, you know, with approvals when we tear that down to make sure that everything is done properly. I would guess now, once we get county to buy off on the land division and the town to look at it, then we can start that. So before the map gets recorded, somebody will want to verify that building is gone. The other item would be that existing house, the septic system for it, for lot 1 is on lot 2. So we'll be working, we've got soil tests completed on all 3 lots. A new system will be placed on lot 1 so that it's stands alone, and lot 2 will get its own eventually. See what other items we have here. Part of this, well, I've got the staff report from Stantec, and they identified a few things we've pretty much dealt with their concerns. One item was that some of this is in a natural corridor. Mostly that's the back of lot 3, where we've got steep slopes and wetlands. No development is planned in that area. Lot 3 is very large just for that reason. County just got me comments today, hot off the presses. I don't know if that was sent over to, I think it was sent over to Terry. I have a copy of that letter if you guys haven't seen it. Just provide that.
I don't think the members have seen it. I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah. All 10, 11 o'clock this morning. I can just go through those quickly so you guys know what they are. They
Sure,
have
thanks.
5 items from the county TRT. Item 1 was town approval. Item 2 was the St. Croix County Surveyor's approval. I've already received the surveyor's approval, so that item is complete. Third item that they had was that the DNR surface water viewer identified the long northern wetland in lot 3 as a navigable pond. So if you guys are looking.
Wow.
At
Navigable?
They say it's navigable, yep. I believe that's the one kind of right in the middle where we've got labeled as CBA 4.99 acres. So they're asking for a 75-foot setback on that. It isn't going to affect the building site because it's probably 60 feet in elevation down the hill from where that'll be. It will affect our contiguous buildable area numbers, but it's not gonna get that below the half-acre threshold that the county requires. And it won't get it below probably the 1 acre that the town requires for net project. But with the final map, we'll make that adjustment to those areas. Then they asked for a copy of the shared driveway agreement that we're going to be using for lots 1 and 2. That's something I'll also provide to the town here. In the past, we have one that we've used for these that works pretty good. It's a shared driveway agreement covenant. So then it identifies it and ties it to those lots versus sometimes in the past, they used to do an easement, but it would then get dropped, say 5 years down the line when the property changed hands. So with the way we've been doing it with the covenant, it binds it so that that doesn't fall off the radar or disappear. I will get a copy of that over to the town probably tomorrow morning, just so we have it before the board meeting. And if there's, if there's any review comments, I don't know if it can be completed that quickly, but at least you'll have it in hand. So that was the shared driveway. And then the final comment from the county was existing private on-site wastewater permit last maintained in 2018. So that's just the septic tank pumping and maintenance. So apparently the prior property owner was behind on that. We'll just get somebody out to do that pumping. That's pretty straightforward. See if there was anything else that I have on this. Going through Stantec's report. They did highlight that there's in the town plan, we might have a bike trail that runs along County Road E at some point in the future. That doesn't probably affect anything with this map. County Road E has a very wide right of way in there. 65 feet on our side for a small portion by Island View, and it goes to 130 feet wide. If there is a bike trail that goes in there, it's likely going to be up closer to the road. They're not going to put it down into the wetland. So I don't think there's anything that'll be a problem with that. That was just an item they brought up. See if there's anything else. Yeah, and their staff recommendation was Staff recommends approval, subject to following conditions. Outstanding items in the reporter resolved. Permits are secured with proper entities. The zoning ordinance is met and all other agency approvals are met, which in this case is just going to be St. Croix County. That
Okay,
pretty much everything I have, so. If there's questions anybody has, I can try to address that.
I don't have any questions at this time. We'll go around in order that I can see people at, I guess, and ask, Carol?
Yeah, I read the letter that Esselmeyer, is that the guy? Yeah, him, had sent, and I was just wondering if there were any, response to his questions about a limit of the trees that were gonna be cut or the wetland areas filled.
Okay, I don't know if
Oh, you
Ty's
haven't
seen
seen
that letter.
Oh,
Can somebody
here we-
there read it to him? Otherwise I can, but my voice
Okay,
is.
I can
Alright.
read it.
you.
Regarding the subdivision of 410 Highland View, I wish to officially submit comments. I have lived across Highland View from this property for 24 years. If lot 3 is put in as proposed, will there be any limit to the trees cut or the wetland areas filled? I would not see cutting all the trees and filling wetlands as good for the area. Also, I would not look forward to having 3 neighbors across the street where I've had one these many years. I would rather see this proposal denied. Thank you for ensuring my comments are heard. Best regards, Jeff Esselman.
So, yeah, I guess first thing, he did note concerns about filling wetlands. We're not gonna be filling any wetlands. That's just not practical or anything we would do. As far as trees go, I don't honestly think there's gonna be a lot of tree cutting. There's going to be some around the existing house. And probably behind it, because where we've identified where to get a septic, that's back in the trees, but that's mostly like box elders and things like that. I don't think, there's no plan to cut anything up along the road, because that's a natural buffer.
As many trees as possible.
Yeah. And on lot 3, kind of look at the aerial overview on the GIS map. Most of that area where we identified the building site it's an open hillside going down towards that wetland, so I really don't anticipate, very few trees. Probably where the driveway comes in, there's gonna be need to be some trees cut. If you guys walk that at all, there's a silo back there. And we're gonna be, just to the west of that in the open. So yeah, with all the wetlands and where we're at, I really don't see many trees at all being cut other than what we have to just to get a building site and most of that area is already open. So I think from his concerns, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd also note the county and DNR also have a lot of control over whether wetlands could be filled at all.
Right, and they really can't, especially on this site, we couldn't do that. We did have a wetland delineation completed,
Buildable area.
so we know where those are, so we don't, impose on the limits anyway. And
Yep.
it's gonna be sold fence and all those kind of things, so.
Okay. Carol, more questions?
No, thank you. No.
Not at this time. Okay, Rick.
Yeah, could you speak a little bit about lot 3 and the buildable area on it? There's a pretty extreme elevation. It looks like you'd be hard pressed to get a house on it.
Yeah, so lot 3, if you look where we've got kind of the driveway arrow coming in, which is right on Highland View.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a septic system. The driveway is probably gonna come up through that one little 950 label. About to where the other 950 label is,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the house site is going to be. So it's pretty much, we're not gonna go down the hill there, it's gonna be right on that top. And so, effectively, the house is gonna sit right in that kind of east side,
closer to the road.
Yup, closer to the road,
Okay.
you know, 150 feet in or something. And then he's gonna have the whole rest of that is gonna be undisturbed. It gets, you know, basically you've just got hill with about 60 feet of elevation down to that wetland.
Yeah, it's
And-
extreme.
It's extreme, yep, and it's.
It'd be
you
a
have to sit at the top.
Heck of a walkout.
Well, that's probably what's gonna happen is that knob by where the silo is,
Yeah,
we're gonna cut that down some. Just so that they get a walkout and then don't have to go further down the hill, and just to get any kind of yard, we'll be working up in that area. Cause right now where that silo is kind of up on a ridge, and where the old barn was is down in a hole.
mhm.
So probably that area that's already been kind of disturbed will just get, you know, flattened out a little bit, and the house is gonna sit basically right on top of that hill and then overlooking down towards that wetland.
So the majority of lot 3, you know, to the, would it be south, would be basically undisturbed.
Basically undisturbed. If you look at the green, that's over 25% slopes. So there can be no grading on that to begin with, so we won't be touching any of that along Highland View to the road. Or any of it kind of wrapping around in the back. It'll basically be that house site's gonna be constrained right up in there where it says NPBA 5.5 acres. Probably where the S in acres is about as far as the development's gonna go, and then like you said, it just drops and drops and
Yep.
drops. It'll be
Okay.
a really nice walkout site and a really nice view over the top of that wetland. But as far as, you know, any kind of development, they're not gonna be able to really go down that hill.
It wouldn't be practical to go down the hill
It's-
and
no,
do
it's
anything
not
down there.
practical,
Yeah.
and yeah, that,
Okay, thank you.
any other questions?
Okay. Let's see, Chris.
I was waiting to be called. That was my question too about the trees adjacent to the road there, that buffer, being able to maintain that is really important. Particularly, I think the resident across the street, that's one of their concerns, right? Because they live right over there. So as much as we can retain the rural character of the town for existing residents is really a way to go. And then, so I think they asked the same questions I had about that buildable site on 3 and when I walked it too. One of the things I'm wondering, Ty, is I know that the restrictions around the slopes and the wetlands is going to prohibit a lot of building anyway. But I'm still have a thought, I'm still always thinking 10, 15 years out,
Yep,
you know? And so I'd like to ask if we could actually put in conservation easement on those areas. Just as another protection for it that says on this roughly 10-acre area, because what we're looking at in our town, that's an environmental corridor. And when they went to create the zoning, it's ag res because they can't, it's really difficult. You don't want to split our zoning right in the middle of an existing lot.
Yep.
So is that something you could look into?
yeah, I mean, I can talk to Derek and see what's available.
Yeah.
I know we get some of these that are, you know, like the last one that they brought forth was in the preservation residential.
Exactly. So we had the ordinance, we had the zoning that was able to kind of help us with that. And on this one, we just don't have that. So then we look to the developers and ask,
Yep,
right? So,
sure, yeah, we can talk about that and see what, you know, if there's a mechanism or an option available. You know,
Okay.
I think a lot of this does effectively protect itself.
It does.
Wetlands.
understood, but I want to put that extra Band-Aid on there.
Yep.
Or,
And just out of curiosity, areas like this, if somebody wanted to rezone that to preservation residential, is that something that would be supported or could be if it's surrounded by other?
I think it would be if there's a substantial portion that falls within one of our natural corridors. When we did the zoning, we pretty much kind of eyeballed things and said zone a lot that's 50% or more in one of our corridors became preservation. And if it was less than 50%, it stayed with, you know, this traditional zoning.
Sure.
And this one is probably in like the, you know, 35-40% range, I'm guessing.
Okay.
So I think we would look favorably upon an application to do that if somebody wished to.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, this one, we're kind of past that point now. but
We are.
Right,
Future ones, if I'm looking at it with a landowner and consulting with them as far as, is that feasible to say, you're zoned ag res now, can we move you into preservation residential? Even if you're not surrounded by it, but you have significant natural corridors
Yeah,
on the property.
Yeah.
Okay. good.
Cool.
Yeah, good to know.
yeah,
so at least
thanks.
something to discuss.
Yeah,
Anything else, Chris?
No, I got bit by a mosquito this afternoon out there.
Ooh,
oh, I got bit
I'm
by a
sorry.
lot of mosquitoes when I was like.
And I walked out a little further and thought, oh, my tennis shoes are getting wet now, so I went back up.
There's a lot of mosquitoes out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if the guy that delineated the wetlands is still alive or not.
I know, it was bad. They were big. Thank you.
I'll go to Justin. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
All right. See, I saw you. Let's see. I'm gonna pass over you, Joanne, for now, since you're alternate. And go ahead to Eric. Any questions from you, Eric?
No, nothing that hasn't been answered already. Thanks.
Sure. Dave, any questions for Mr. Dodge? Couldn't hear that.
I'm good.
All right. Joanne, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. Let's see. I don't think I do any. I guess the one thing that I would ask is was our driveway administrator happy with the locations of the proposed driveways? The one that was moving up started getting a little close to that curve. That's why I'm wondering.
Yep, we did stake that out and Jay was out and met with Derek on that and he was good with that location.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't too close and we'd wind up with people coming around the corner without being able to see.
Yep, he did go out and view that.
Measure. Yeah, great. Okay. Any further discussion on this one? So Chris, you had the question about, maybe adding an easement or something to preserve things. Did you want to make approval conditional on something like that? Or would you be comfortable with them, agreeing to consider it?
Well, I'm gonna go for conditional. Is that okay? Are we?
I guess it would.
Yeah, I'm getting a nod from,
Yeah,
Vision like that would, or,
yeah, so it's really not difficult then.
right.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of like what the nuts and bolts are. If we just put it on the map, the same as your preservation residential and that would
Yeah,
cover it.
yeah,
Yep.
Yep, and then
Okay.
look at, identify what we can do, obviously all the wetland areas and some of that where we're not,
yeah,
wherever we're not building, we can probably put that
yeah.
on.
And then when the next map comes in, we'll kind of delineate that.
Yep,
Thank you.
Before we move on to a motion, I'm gonna ask if there's anyone in the audience who wants to speak to this. Thank you.
I'm Jerry Helmberger and I live at 418 Highland View, which is adjacent to lots 1 and 2. And my only comment is that Justin has been really good to work with. And I don't see any of this as a problem for us. And I'm disappointed, but can you add, could you add a strip of this this preservation alongside of our property too? No. But no, I just wanted to, I'm really here in support, so that's it, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Somebody want to make the motion?
Anton, this is Chris. I'll go ahead and make a motion then.
Okay, thank you.
To recommend to the town board for approval for the Address.
410.
See. For the, yeah, I found it, yeah, here. Yeah. For the address 410 Highland View, Town of St. Joe, as provided on the pre-application request for Derek Bradiger and Zach Hartman. With the condition that a conservation easement will be developed to be added to lot 3, primarily in the areas to the west and south on that lot, designating the existing wetlands and very wooded areas that if we look at our future land use shows the natural corridor. So along those lines.
All right. That's a long motion.
I'm
Someone wanna
sorry.
Second it?
Second, Carol Oncar.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And then
See you
Uh,
tomorrow, probably. Yes, Ty.
One item with that, just because we can probably make this adjustment and come back tomorrow. We just talked with Jerry, who's the neighbor, and Derek just about what we can put in conservation, and I roughly sketched it out. And I can give that to you guys just to look at. I'll give it to Chris and. Is you the one? That's-
Oh, yeah, that's exactly. And that's exactly how it's that.
Wonderful, instant back and forth.
You know, when we've got a plan commission meeting tonight and a town board for approval tomorrow, we can get it all taken care of and moved along. That's the best. So,
All right. Thank you.
no, thank you.
Great. Okay, I think everything else on our agenda for tonight are ordinances. Just try and run through these quickly. Ordinance 68.
That's mine.
Yep,
Hopefully you were able to pull it up. It's in the folder. And this is a clean copy, and the only thing that we ended up adding, or that Terry ended up adding, was the severability. And I took out the matrix, and it was suggested at the July meeting that we make that a separate document, which I did. So that's the addendum to this. I did leave in the event cleanup. I was trying to move it up above the severability. And maybe it's okay that it's not there. And I didn't see any documentation in the meeting minutes about taking this out. So does anybody else recall, was it okay to leave this in? Or did you want that out? Or any other comments? The last, it's still kind of in red way at the bottom.
yeah, I'm trying to
Nope,
remember.
Nope, we took that one out. It was the last paragraph, event cleanup.
I thought we left it in, but
Okay,
we
we
changed
did.
the time frame.
I
And I
did.
don't know if we changed it, did we change it to 48 hours? From like
Well, it
24 or
was
something?
24,
Yeah,
and above that, I put must be removed within a reasonable time frame, and I don't know what that is. But
Yeah, that used to be like 24 hours or 48 hours, and we made the point about like trash pickup dates. So
Yeah,
reasonable
and
time
then-
frame sounds better.
yeah, the next one was 24, and I moved that to 48. The next
Yeah,
sentence.
the one problem I have with reasonable time frame,
Yeah, I know, it's
yeah,
okay.
I think we need to be
a time, so give me
Confident of that.
something to put in.
Thought the last time we had this discussion, we had wrapped it more around, so I remember the discussion we had was that the closest, like low cost, not driving to like a transfer station is the town of Richmond, which is open, Thursdays. Right now, their hours are like Thursdays, 6 to 8, and Saturdays, I think it's 9 to noon or 9 to 1. And I think the point when I was making the discussion was around, if my party's on Sunday, then I'd have to wait until Thursday if I don't buy residential trash because it's not legally required.
Seven,
So wouldn't that be,
7 days?
yeah, I think that would be the longest distance between 2 points.
Could you go business days?
7 business days or 5 business days?
Could you go 5 business days? I mean, just,
I think 5 business
Discussions.
days, well, depending on how you count, if you did something on Monday, does that mean Friday or the next Monday?
So 7 seems more reasonable? Or does 10?
I think I'd be happy with 7 days. I don't think
7
days.
calendar days, 7 calendar
7
days.
calendar days, yeah.
Calendar. Okay,
If other people don't think that's too onerous.
No, I think that sounds reasonable.
okay. And then the 48 hours for the fencing or also 7 calendar?
hmm,
I don't know what typical schedules are for rental of that thing. I don't know. Does anyone on the board have any experience with that, or plan commission rather?
For renting,
48 hours seems reasonable to me, because if you're renting objects, right, you're renting,
You're paying by the day.
you kind of want to get rid of them, and they kind of want to get their stuff back, so.
They can rent it out again,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think 48 hours is
reasonable.
reasonable.
what's the object they're renting? Just as an example.
Like a porta
Porta potty.
chemical toilet. Thank you.
Or a
I'm
I'm just
commercial
going out
tent.
to,
Or
Or if it's a tent,
tent, yeah,
pavilion.
beer
how about
trailer,
an inflatable castle?
Yeah,
bouncy house.
Those are kind of eyesores.
48 hours seems reasonable.
I would imagine they come the next day and take that stuff down.
Yeah,
Yep, they do it by the number of days. So
Yeah.
I just for a point of reference, in case anyone's wondering where I was getting that information. I just went up to Express Rental, which is out of New Richmond. And I
Mhm.
just looked at what their traditional rentals standard are, and it's a call us, and they do it by the day, and then it's can be picked up or delivered for $3 per mile, $100 minimum. So it looks like it's a pickup and take down, and then it's done daily. So I would assume 48 hours would be reasonable.
all right, I've left that
And then-
one.
And
And
then I
then-
think severability does need to be last, I believe. So
Okay,
we'll need to move that up.
I tried to move it and it X'd out the 68, the severability, and then I was trying to move it. Maybe you're better at moving it. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Then the last sentence though, Anton, the last sentence,
Mhm.
I changed that. I had billed at $40 per hour. And I said, and I changed the whole thing to be, will be billed at cost.
Yeah, and that also needs to be changed to town.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, build at cost sounds right. I don't remember if we have better language for that somewhere else, but that sounds right to me.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Can I ask a quick
Yep,
question? Because I did two of them also, and I was just knowing the severability clause. I think we're all using language that's just a tweaked difference. So I was just wondering, when I was looking, I was just reviewing all of the different ones that we submitted. Terry, do you have, can you make sure that there's consistency in all of these in the severability language? Like I used the one from the zoning ordinance, and there might have been ones already, language already in here. And I just noticed it looked just a little different. So
Sure.
does that make sense, Eric?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yep, that's a good idea.
I don't know which is the most recent. I just guessed chapter 170 zoning, the severability language in that one. And then our attorney would probably double check it, but do you see what I'm getting at? Because we all, okay,
Yeah, I just looked for one of the most recent ones in there and
is,
just copied that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, ideally, if we have differences, we take the different versions to the attorney and say, which one do you want?
Perfect. Good
But
idea.
for now, I think just grabbing any of the ones that we currently have is probably okay, but ones done in the 1990s or 2000s or later are probably better than the ones from the 1970s.
Agreed.
So,
Okay.
all right. Okay. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, I was actually able to move it this time. So I will just send this back to you, Terry. All right? Thank you. Pardon? Well, no, I just did it now. So I'll send it back. Thank you.
So I guess
Do
I
I need,
would question on
motion?
this one that the changes we made are pretty small here. Do we want to approve it with the changes? Or do we want to wait and get the new text and do it? I don't think there's any rush on it. Well, there's absolutely no rush because, yeah, never mind. There's absolutely no rush because the town board can't look at it tomorrow anyway. And so we'll be able to, we'd have time to see it before the next board meeting anyway. So you okay just bringing it back, Carol?
Yes, but I also wanted to bring up the addendum. So
yes.
like a 68 special event, and all I did was take this out of the old thing and here it is. So we could just use it as the addendum.
And are we comfortable with this or do we want to?
Yeah, I want that top line removed because somehow or another that got in there. Plan resource guidelines, it got in there. So that'll need to be removed, but everything else was just a cut paste.
Okay, now, how does this interact with 6865, which is medical services? Where it says applicant to supply adequate medical coverage plan, subject to town board, fire chief and EMS approval, review and approval.
Depending on the event, we may require that somebody get medical coverage for the event.
Right, but I'm still trying to figure out how does this interact with 5, which says, you know, adequate medical coverage plan for size of assembly. Do we basically say, you know, as specified in the addendum and then subject to review and approval? And do we want these to be guidelines or requirements? Are these like requirements that can be modified by the town board or EMS? And if so, are they really requirements or are they guidelines as the title says right now? I just think we need to tie these two parts together. It's not clear right now.
I guess I would use it as guidelines.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess we could, I could put in a note.
We could add a sentence at the end of 5 that said something like, see addendum for guidelines based on events, size and type of event or something like that, maybe. Does that make sense to people?
It does, because there's language in this ordinance that says some exemption or some exceptions can be made by the town in the review of the application. Right? As they go through this.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
based on when the applicant comes in, they may make a request, and if the town board says that seems reasonable for the size and the type of event, we've got language in there that says you can't completely.
We can grant
not-
exceptions. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying you completely accept the ordinance, but there's some language in there.
Okay.
And when you, and Anton, when you said in 5, where did you mean that I should put the referral?
I was thinking as a separate sentence
But
after that. So 6865, where it says medical services, applicants supply additional
65.
medical coverage plan. I was just thinking maybe a sentence after that says something like,
hold on. let
You
me
know.
get it. 6-5. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
so it's not something like, see the addendum for examples of medical
Guidelines?
resources based on event type and size.
Of the event, right?
Yeah, the type and size of the event.
Okay, got it.
And if someone has better wording, feel free to lunge that or make suggestions.
Okay,
I just want to make people know that, make people aware if they're reading the ordinance that, oh, there is an addendum.
okay.
All right. Okay.
Then do I need to go back and revise the motion with this as an addendum? Or this next sentence, or no?
I don't think we have a motion right now on the
Oh,
table.
no. Okay. All right,
I think we'll wait and we'll make the motion next month, I think,
oh, okay,
because
got it.
any action that we take tonight, the board's not gonna see
Oh, yeah,
until the September board meeting anyway, and we'll have, you know, the week before that.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anton, can I just ask one question related to this one? Before we
Yes.
move on? So we also have the special event plan and permit application. So that'll need to, I'm thinking, get revised because currently says for small or large assemblies, and we took that language out. Remember, we don't have small or large. I'm just trying to get consistency between this ordinance and the application. Maybe Terry, you can just flag that. Or do you want us to do it, or do you see them getting it? Because, yeah,
So on that note with the application that's reviewed by the board and
yes,
staff,
yes.
can I make a suggestion to the application related to the medical? That we don't have to put in ordinance? Can we put something in there that an AED would be required to be on site?
It's nowhere in here.
It's not in here. It is in there?
No, I don't know. Is that what I'm asking
Oh.
you? It's not?
Yeah, I didn't, well, not the rabbit hole, but I don't know if these are defined, like first aid station. So I don't know if that's a box of Band-Aids or, you know, a full AEDs with trained people. But I feel like, you know, we could maybe further define that by the application and not by code. To where if it was appropriate to have trained staff with AEDs, you know, we could require that by the application itself.
Yeah, I wonder if we should be just leaving that up to the discretion of the EMS department.
That's, I guess, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is if it was part of the application process, you know, and if EMS is looking at it.
If there was like a checkbox on the
Exactly,
application for, yes,
exactly.
I'm going
Yep.
to have an AED, or no, I'm not.
Yep, or you should have one, or you will have one, or, you know, from the town's perspective, so.
Yeah, I think we should review the application again. Do we want to put that on the agenda for next month? You okay with that, Chris?
Oh, you want me to do it? Okay.
Well, no, I'm not asking you to do it.
Oh,
I'm just
no.
saying, are you okay if we put on the agenda for
Well,
next
of
month
course.
to review the application?
Sure, yeah.
And if somebody wants to volunteer to propose the revised one, we can do it then. Otherwise, I don't think that that needs to be tied to the ordinance. So I think that we can
Exactly.
Yeah.
work on revising the application next month. Even if the board were to approve the ordinance.
It's
Like-
a separate, yep.
Yep.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
call it out. That's all.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I will make a note to put application review on the agenda for next month too.
Yeah, has this really nice mint green title. Yeah.
All right. Any other discussion on this ordinance? Right, let's go to chapter 74, town property activities.
That one's me. It's in your drive as alcoholic beverages because I think that's what it's saved as, because that's at the top. No, I don't know. It's fine. It's good. It says chapter 74. No, don't worry about it. Minor change, when we talked last meeting about it, there was gonna be some code changes. The most major change would be the chapter 961 or subchapter 2. This was incorrectly noted as 961-20 or .20. That was actually Schedule 4 drugs, which was just prescription drugs. That forbid you to be in possession of like anti-anxiety medicine. So we expanded that to all drugs by referencing 961 subchapter 2, which covers all the, what do you call them, the controlled substance schedules.
Like Schedule 1, Schedule 2, something.
Right. And then we added severability and a penalty of $250 instead of the 100.
I'm assuming we don't need to worry about immediate precursors being too general.
They
In this
are
case.
all defined in the Wisconsin statutes.
Are they? Because this is immediate precursor of the substance defined in subchapter 2 of chapter 961.
Oh, I see what you're saying. We could remove that language. We could just reference the substances defined in subchapter 2.
1, chapter 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think I'd be more comfortable with that.
Okay. I don't think we need to worry about precursors then. It's. So based on that, I think we can just bring this back next, because the board won't be able to see it anyway, so we'll bring it back next month.
Okay.
Do we want to land on severability language? Do we just want to use the 1 out of 170?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay,
We know that one's been reviewed recently.
you got it. I will make sure that that is the same.
Okay. So everybody can do that, and I will be going through and looking at all of our other ordinances for severability, and I will use that as the basis for.
I created a document that just has the severability from 170. I could put it in the drive. That
That'd be
helps.
great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
So I have a question and I don't know if this is pertinent or not. This is Joanne. So does this mean, let's say, for example, if the fire department decides they want to have their fundraiser here, that they wouldn't be able to serve alcohol?
Right, we talked last time, I think all of the township events are dry.
Yep. Yeah, we're not actually changing this ordinance. This has been on the books forever.
And they hold the fundraisers offsite, I believe.
I didn't know with the new town.
They
hall,
usually
Maybe
do
they
it at
want to do it
big-
on
Yeah.
site.
I think that's a good point. You know, with the new fire department or new fire hall, they might want to hold something here going forward. We can cross that bridge when we get there.
Yep.
Thank
We
you.
can bring that up to the town board when we forward this to them.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, to bring that forward. We don't know what the future use is, so we might be looking at it again for town events.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up, Darla. Okay. Let's see, that was chapter 74. Sorry, I lost my agenda. Find another window. Chapter 84, outdoor burning.
I've got this one, so I'm just pulling it up here. So this go round, I made one change from last time. I addressed the items basically that we all agreed that we wanted to address, so I wanted to just point those out. Before I do though, if you look at it, 84-7 general restrictions. On B, we had language in there, the last time I brought it forward, that said the town of St. Joe prohibits burning on a non-residential site. No commercial burning is permitted. And I just changed that this time to just say clearly, the town of St. Joseph prohibits commercial burning, period, because that's what we were getting at. So whether they have a small business on a residential site, you know, or a commercial, I just wanted to be really clear about that.
Yeah, and just to be clear,
Yeah.
if someone, I guess if somebody had a big pile of leaves on their property and they hauled those over to their, to the commercial lot that they also own, they would be able to burn that on the commercial lot because it's it's residential being burned. Do we
You're
care?
right. I don't think that matters because that's something we're okay with burning.
On other
Right.
lots, yeah.
Yeah,
I just wanted to bring that out as a,
yeah, I'm not trying to
Potential.
limit things. Yeah, I was just trying to be a little bit
Yeah.
more clear on it.
Yeah.
Yes, so if someone has a business, their home is next to it and the tree leaves on the business lot, they rake them to the home lot and they burn them, that's fine.
all right,
We know the intent of this.
yes,
Okay, and then the
All right.
other thing we were going to add the language of 84-7B, we wanted that deleted. So I
sorry,
deleted-
84-7B is the one you were just talking about.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Then you go down to, I wanted to say though, I added in under C, 84-7C. I added in parentheses when we talked about rubbish. I just clarified it again because that felt like we're still not being extremely
Yeah.
clear, but not to include wet combustible trash, garbage, oily substance, asphalt, plastic or rubber products. But we're
Yeah.
still allowing the paper, cardboard, clean untreated wood from a single family or household. That was the language we got. We came to that conclusion. We wanted that. I remember Justin last month, we were talking about, well, when you start that fire, you're going to use newspaper. We were too restrictive. So that's why I added that in here, expanded that out. Does
Thank
that
you.
make sense? Okay.
Yep. And I see what you mean by deleting 84-7B. It's the old 84-7B, which is the one that says you can't have a fire indoors.
Exactly. Sorry, that was just. Don't know what that, okay. And then under the violation and penalties, we had asked, we put that as I need a 0. Oh, no, I did. There it is. $250 per incident and doubling every day for subsequent offenses up to a limit of $5,000. And then I just
Yep.
put including costs and attorney fees, period. Each day in violation constitutes a separate offense subject, so that
Yep.
language works now.
That sounds good.
Okay. And then I added this, the severability that you wanted us to do, me to do.
Great, great. Looks good. Do we want to pass motion on this one? Any other comments?
That's good.
Okay, I don't have a clean version, but can I make a motion on this? Just. Yeah, that was deleted. Mhm. Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to recommend to the town board, approval of the revised ordinance, chapter 84 outdoor burning as submitted the version August 7th, 2024.
I'll second Caroline Carr.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. All right, we have one to send to the board. I assume that they won't be looking at it tomorrow because of the agenda, but they can look at it next month. We'll have to make sure it gets on the next month's agenda. Okay. Moving on, chapter 98, public entertainment.
And that's me, entertainment.
All right.
And I would pull that one up from the folder. And this should be a clean copy, and Terry had added in severability. So are there any questions on it? Because we've added everything in there from the comments from last month, so. Hearing no questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve the chapter 98 and public entertainment and submit it to the board for approval.
Rick, I'll second.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Another one off.
All right. Yay, we have two. Okay. Chapter 104, fireworks.
I'll have to change the severability clause on that. I'll just bring it back for next month.
I'm fine with that. I'm also fine if you want to just ask Terry to put the correct severability clause.
Are you good with that, Terry? Okay, that'd be great. Yeah. Thank you.
You want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to the board to approve chapter 104 with the severability clause.
Caroline Carr, second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. All right. Chapter 123, lakes and waterways.
It's mine, Anton. This is Chris. I'm just
Oh.
pulling it up.
Yep, okay.
So last month, we just had discussion around it, and then I actually pulled up the ordinance and added the items that we talked about last month. So in Article 1, the violations and penalties under 123-3. What I did, I know, thanks, Justin, you recommended looking at the Bass Lake Rehabilitation District for an example of fees and such. And I was finding most of them in a range from 156.20 to 168.60. They added the forfeiture, a penalty assessment, and the court costs to get those totals when I looked at it. And so I went by 150, and that's
Yep.
what I chose to put in there. And I chose, if you guys feel differently, I just said a sum of 150. I didn't do the not less than 50, but greater than 150. It's just a straight. So if
I
you're
like it.
wondering about my rationale.
No,
Yeah.
very
makes sense
clear.
to me.
Okay,
Yep,
okay.
it's $150.
It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if you move down to same thing.
123.8.
123.7, violations and penalties, again, 150 there.
Mhm.
Now we're in our, Bass Lake area. And then we move to Article 3, 123.8. I put in motorized watercraft. So these are the lakes that don't have any motorized boats on them, right? And so last time, Anton, we kind of started to look at some DNR definitions. So when I looked at it, I went for operation of motorized watercraft, vehicles.
Mhm.
I added all-terrain and utility terrain vehicles. Obviously, they're not going to go on the lake in the summer because it's water. But I did, you guys, we can have a discussion around it. Our discussion was around the jet skis. You can see I added in there. But I put in the definition of all-terrain vehicle and utility terrain coming directly out of our ordinance for that, because we have a ordinance around all
Yeah.
ATV and UTV that allows them on town roads. It doesn't say anything about lakes or anything, and that's why I didn't go there. I just put this in here so that if we have these lakes that don't allow motorized vehicles, it should be the summer and the winter for fumes emissions on the ice, which eventually goes and melts and goes into our lakes. So that was my thinking behind that.
Yeah,
We
Justin?
may have, the problem I'm thinking is if you have someone who takes a snowmobile across the ice,
Right. That's not a problem to me. That's what this is doing, is saying they can't do it. I don't know. It really is up for discussion.
I think that it's really up to the board in a sense to decide what they want. I think
Yes,
this is a good approach because it eliminates the possibility that you could have an ATV or a snowmobile or something similar in the winter, like go through the ice and pollute the lake.
that was an issue too, that I kept researching, and it was really often about. I mean, I live by Perch Lake, and people all the time walk their sleds out there and use their augers. Now a gas powered auger is not a motor vehicle, so we don't want to restrict that, right? We don't want to say, no, you can't, because people use those gas powered augers, for the ice fishing. So we want to I think we want to keep that. But those lakes aren't very big. So people aren't driving vehicles. But again, that's not to say they might not. So
Well, if anything goes in the water, doesn't the DNR come in and make you pay for,
and by then
polluting
you've
it?
polluted it.
Well, I know, but then they make you pay for, cleaning it up. whatever
Yeah,
that
but by then
costs.
you've polluted it.
Yeah,
is
I
my
understand.
Conversation this way.
Yeah, I mean,
We've done the damage, then we've done
Yeah,
the damage. So
you're
this
right.
prevents the damage from occurring.
okay,
That's-
so I think county's the one who sets up the trails for off-road vehicles, for both the summer season and the winter season.
Mm.
All I'm wondering is, if we need to check and see if there's anything that prevents this action. I understand what you're saying. I think that the hard part is, it's like Perch Lake's a good example. If you do have someone who goes out there with like their side by side or something, right? And they do it because, maybe they can't carry a excuse me, they can't carry an auger or something like that, or I don't see ice houses going out on something like Perch Lake. I don't know necessarily, but
We do.
yeah, because if they do, then they have to have a motor vehicle to tug that ice house out there.
Well, they do the tent ones out there and they pull
Oh,
out
okay.
by the sleds mostly.
So there's no ice castles out there, right? The ones with the
No, no
direct TV and the
No.
Netflix continuous streaming.
TV.
So I think that would be the only thing I'd look at is those UTVs, so those and the 4x4s and the snowmobiles. I guess the hard part would be, well, I see two hard parts, right? So if the county's putting a trail near it, right, people are going to be
Yes.
people. And the second thing is how we would enforce that if someone's going to go by with their snowmobile, right? I mean, I'm a snowmobile owner. I go across all sorts of spots, on the trails and things, but what prevents someone shooting across it at midnight or 10 o'clock at night? Stuff like that.
Yeah, I hear you. Do you want me to just look and see what the county has?
Yeah, and see if I think I think it is their public planning team lays out where the trails will go.
Uh-huh.
And let's just see if there's anything that's going to come near these spots to see if it is, then we ultimately know that this is going to be very challenging to enforce. And if there
Yes.
isn't, then we can at least request that we kind of steer a little bit further away. But I don't know how, if a resident of Perch Lake lives there and has a snowmobile, we would ever stop them from, going out, turning around and coming back in with their snowmobile or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll go ahead and look. Oh, Joanne was gonna say something.
Well, I was just wondering, I know most counties have snowmobile associations that set up the trails, so I'm not sure if the county here in St. Croix County sets up those trails or if there's a snowmobile association.
The county
Oh,
sets
yes,
up
I can
the,
access.
They give them
The-
access. Okay,
the
Alright.
county sets up at least the long trails.
Mhm.
okay. Yep. All right, thank you.
Yep, I'll go
Yeah.
ahead. I'll look and see what we have for proximity. Okay,
Perfect, thank you. And let me
Yep.
know if you need anybody to bug over there. I can probably call. So just let me know.
okay, thanks, Justin.
Yeah, Homestead Parkland's not on the snowmobile system, which I guess is good. All right. Let's see. Any further discussion on 123? Excuse me. All right. Right. Bring that back next month. And Chris, you'll talk with someone at county on this. Would that be appropriate?
Sure, I'll give him a call.
Okay, thank you. Chapter 130. Which is mobile homes. With mobile homes.
Was that one mine, Anton?
I think that was yours, Terry.
Yeah, I've been reviewing it, but I have a few questions I need to ask and some things I need to look up. So can we bring this?
Back
Please.
next month. Yep,
Thank you.
thanks. Chapter 163, solid waste.
Yeah, that one's me. Looking forward to offloading this one. Been on here for way too long. All right, since last time, I added, the fine that we had talked about. Let me find it here. 163-3 and violations. I added any person or firm or corporation in violation of this article shall pay a forfeiture of $250, doubling with each violation thereafter to a limit of 5,000.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Yep.
And I did the same for the second violation under 163-10. And then added severability.
Yep.
Yay.
Been a long time. I didn't anticipate that this one needed this much work.
Yep. And I will note that the severability clause here is a little different than some of our others, so we may want to have Terry again look at making sure the right one's there.
I would be comfortable sending this to the board. If Terry is comfortable adding the correct severability clause. Excellent.
All right. When you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to forward the amended chapter 163 solid waste code to the full board for consideration.
Carol, second.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Aye. All right. Moving right along. Chapter 50, elections. Let's see. That one is in, okay, it's shows up as ordinance rather than chapter in the drive, so that's why it's not with the other ones. This one comes from the attorney at the request of the town board, and we're reviewing it. Does anyone have comments on this one?
Where is it, Anton?
It should be in the drive. It is in the drive because I just downloaded it from the drive. It's called Ordinance 2024-09, Chapter 50, Election Conduct.
On the very bottom.
Oh, there it is.
See. Well, and I can't share because
Here,
I
read.
got it. I found
how
it.
it's configured. Okay.
And this comes from our attorney. This was written by them, or?
I believe this was written by them. I'm not sure. Justin, do you know the details there?
The attorney had sent it to us. He had done this. He sent it to several towns. And he had done this for the city of Hudson. I understand they just passed it in the city. And he just recommended it. And so that's why it's out there.
I noticed the severability clause is different than,
Probably not the same one as
Yeah.
the 170. I'll fix it.
I think that's what, at least one of those, one of the ones we have was very similar to that one, so.
pardon?
At least one of the ones we looked at today have this as the severability clause, I think, so.
Okay.
But Terry will standardize it with the attorney's input. So, does anyone see any issues with this one? I'm a little puzzled, or I'm pondering the in a public or private place bit. Since this would seem to suggest that like somebody in somebody's house could be potentially prosecuted or fined under this ordinance for yelling at somebody based on the fact that that somebody was working in the election.
Where do you see that, Anton?
At the first,
51A.
right there, in a public or private place.
I was thinking it might refer to a car, a vehicle, private vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not a bad.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. It's just one of the things that.
I wonder if
came
it
up to me
has
as-
to do with, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I wonder if it has to do with the telecommunications in there, where you could send a offensive text message from a private place, but still be in violation of this.
I think that's separate from A. The telecommunication is C. A, I think, is just the engaging in, you know, violent, abusive, indecent, profane, boisterous, unreasonably loud, or otherwise disorderly conduct.
Okay.
I think it's okay. The boisterous kind of like threw me a little bit, just because the connotations there are sort of backwards from what I'd expect, but. Okay. And election official, the definition just comes from Wisconsin statutes. Communication methods seems fine. Penalty 300 to 1,000. It looks pretty straightforward.
Question,
Anyone
please.
have? Yes, yes, Darla.
Are there any definitions for that first paragraph? I mean, are there any definitions for boisterous, profane? So there's no definitions that we can refer back to?
That's correct. Dictionary definitions, I guess, or if there are legal definitions of some of those.
So typically that's the case when we see an instance where a definition is not stated openly, we would then refer back to either a legal definition or then we would use a common definition, usually defined by a Webster standard.
So
That's for anybody who needs to know.
where is the legal definition at?
That's defined by the state.
Yeah, this language is actually coming, it looks like straight out of Wisconsin ordinance, or Wisconsin statute, I should say, 947.01, disorderly conduct. Says, to quote that statute, or that section of the statute, whoever in a public or private place engages in violent, abusive, indecent, profane, boisterous, unreasonably loud, or otherwise disorderly conduct under circumstances in which the conduct tends to cause or provoke a disturbance is guilty of a Class B misdemeanor. So I'm actually feeling better now that I've looked at that, because it looks like the trigger, so to speak, for that paragraph A is identical to the trigger that the state's using for disorderly conduct. So I feel better having looked that up. Thank you, Darla. I agree that it's clearly ambiguous, and the courts are going to be the ones in the end that determine like what is unreasonably loud or disorderly conduct. Any
Just
further
move it.
discussion? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna move us along, but you were gonna ask for further discussion.
Yes, I was going to ask, is there any further discussion? Because if not, then I will make a motion on this one. All right. I will make a motion to recommend to the town board that Chapter 50, election conduct, be adopted as a new ordinance of the town of St. Joseph.
Second, Carol Lockhart.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Justin, I didn't hear you speak. Do you have a vote on this one?
Yes, I vote in the affirmative.
Okay, great. Motion carries. Right. And ordinance reviews on hold, I think, are still all on hold. In particular, still haven't heard anything from Public Works and or Stantec for recommendations on cluster mailboxes. So Justin, if you want to beat up the Public Works Committee at some point.
Oh, I'm
free.
already texting Chris right now.
All right, standing up items, review of budget. Anyone have any comments on our budget? Right. I don't have anything from the county. Excuse me. I haven't heard any complaints recently. Justin, I don't know if you've got any updates on complaints that you'd like to share with the Plan Commission. Usually almost all of that stuff is in closed session, I think, with the board.
Yep, that's where we're at right now.
All right. So date of next meeting should be in September. Looks like it should be September 4th. And recommendations to the town board. All right, to summarize our recommendations. Let's see, we've recommended approval of Ordinance 84, Ordinance 98, Ordinance 104, and Ordinance 163, and Chapter 50, which I guess is Ordinance 50, however we want to call it. Of which only I believe the last one is on their agenda for tomorrow. So the other ones can get dealt with at their next meeting. Items for our next agenda, we're bringing back Ordinance 68, Ordinance 74, Ordinance 123, and if Terry, you get answers to the mobile hold things, then we'll look at that for next month as well. If you want to pull it off, just let me know, or just remove it from the agenda when I send you the agenda. And I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Thank you for a efficient meeting here and for all of your work on the ordinances. I'm not assigning any new ordinances at the moment, so I will go back to my list and see what I can do in terms of severability. And then hopefully next month I will not be sick. I will be at the meeting in person, and I will ask for volunteers on ordinances that we can start reviewing again.
Thanks, Anton. And
Thanks.
hopefully you feel
Well,
better.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Yep,
Anton.
Thank you. Get well soon.
Bye.
Yeah.
Have
that's
a
my
good night,
plan.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
No, I got laser. Oh, I think turn off.